Okay, estudiantes, let's see if this helps a little more. Today we talked about commands. Commands in Spanish are also called the mandatos. If you look the tense up, it's called imperativo or imperative. Commands. Examples are, for example, if you're babysitting a kid and you tell them, okay, wash your hands. Or if your teacher says, get out your notes. Or if your mom and dad say, get ready for dinner. Those are all examples of commands. The one thing that all commands have in common is they're given to you. The problem is in Spanish there are 4 yous. You have informal and you have formal. You have singular and you have plural. So what I've created is a chart to help you with this. Now, looking at it, it seems overwhelming. So let me explain. We're going to break it down. And in this first video, we're going to do a review or a lesson of informal commands. So the way this chart is set up is you have this column. You have 4 squares, okay? And this first column is affirmative. So a command that you would give someone an affirmative measure, for example, stand up, sit down, take notes. Those would all be examples of affirmative. The right column is negative commands. Negative commands would be say, don't sit down, don't talk. So it has the word don't implied with it. This straight row across rather is informal, so this would be 2. So for example, if you're talking to a kid or if you're talking to a friend, whether it's affirmative, call me, or negative, don't call me. The bottom row is more formal, or if you're speaking to more than one person. For example, when I give a command to you, my class, I would use the bottom row because I'm giving the command in the ustedes form. So again, you have affirmative and you have negative. So affirmative would be if I said, take out your notes. Negative would be, don't talk. So that's explaining the 4 squares, and I numbered them. For this video, we're going to focus again as a review on informal and affirmative. This one square, if you notice the different squares, they're colored. They're color-coded. This is purple, okay, because this square is unlike the other 3. This is going to just use the usted form of any verb in the present indicative. Here's an example. The present indicative is the first tense, the first way that you learned how to conjugate a verb. So for example, if I said to speak, I would say habla. If I were to say eat, come. If I were to say dance, baila. Notice that I'm also talking to one person. Now some teachers explain it that you use the tu form, you drop the s. Either one will work. I personally like one step, so I think of it as use the usted form. I'm giving a command to my friend, no problem. There's an acronym here, DVT SHIPS. Now, unfortunately, I ran out of room there, so I wrote it here in bigger letters. These are the only irregulars that you would use for this informal affirmative command. If the verb is decir, the command is di. If it's venir, it's ven. Tener, ten. Salir, sal. Hacer, haz. Not as. And a good way to remember is, what do you sit on? Ir is be, poner, pon, ser, se. Don't forget the accent. So these would be your irregulars. For example, if I said do your homework, I would say haz tu tarea. If I were to say leave, sal. Now be careful, sal also is a noun for salt. How do you know whether someone's saying leave or I need salt? Obviously in the context. To further demonstrate, I also want to review pronouns. At the bottom of the chart are some notes again in black because it doesn't matter if it's subjunctive or if it's this first square of commands. Order of pronouns. You could have more than one pronoun in a sentence. You have reflexive, indirect, direct. Just a real quick review. Reflexive pronouns make a verb reflexive. For example, I wash my hair. Whose hair do I wash? My own. Therefore, it's reflexive. I need the reflexive pronoun. An indirect object pronoun is someone, or we'll stick with someone, receiving the action, answering 2 questions, to whom and for whom. I bought a gift for my husband. For whom? For my husband. He would be the indirect object. Using that same example, I bought a gift for my husband. The direct object pronoun answers two questions as well. Who or what? I didn't buy who, I bought what. What did I buy? A gift. That's the direct object. Again, the indirect object is for whom. You may want to go back and review these notes. With a command, if it's an affirmative command, meaning there's no note, no, and you're not saying don't, it's always attach affirmative if you have a pronoun. Non, meaning you never attach negative. For now, we're only going to focus on the affirmative because that's what this square is. Let's take some examples. Over here, if I said to a friend and I said, come here, then again, the verb to come is venir. Ooh, hold on. That's irregular. So I would say, ven aquí. Write me. Is write me one of the DVT shifts? Correct, it is not. It is just escribir, so you would say escribe. Oh, but wait. Notice I'm saying write to whom? To me. Escribe, and is this an affirmative command? Yes. So I'm going to add the me and add the accent to keep the original sound. Call me. What is the verb to call? That's right, llamar. So this would be llama. Oh wait, who do I need to call? Me, not Ghostbusters. Llámame. Have fun. This is a great verb. This is a reflexive verb, divertirse. Divertirse is to have fun or to enjoy oneself. So this is a tough one if you don't remember your irregulars in the present tense. Now, another thing that I've had students encounters, they look at this and they say, Señora, this is not right. Just because you have te, it's okay. So don't be confused. Divierte is the verb and te is the reflexive pronoun that you need to add. This next one I put in two parts. Dry your hair. First of all, because this is a reflexive verb, whose hair am I telling you to dry? That's right, your own. You need to have what pronoun? Who is the receiving person for the command? That's right, the to form. So the reflexive pronoun has to be te. So the first part would be dry. So seca, my apologies. Let me make that look more of a C. Sécate. Again, adding the reflexive pronoun. Seca is the verb. But now I want to say dry it. It replacing the hair. This is an example of using two pronouns. So again, I add the accent to keep the original sound. Sécatelo. Now, some of you were confused today with accents. If they don't change meaning, that's not a problem. I want you to at least try. You've got nothing to lose. Let me break this down and explain this up here. The original verb is seca, correct? Try it, seca. Excellent. If you break it down by syllable, this is the first one that we stressed, seca. We didn't say seca. If a word ends in a vowel, an N or an S, the implied, meaning not written, but it's there, syllable that we stress is second to last. So this is the last, this is the second one, that's where we stress it. But now look what happens when I add te. If I add te, I move where I normally would have the stress. Again, is this a vowel, an N or an S? It sure is. So if I don't put the accent in where the original was, here, then this is going to be pronounced secate. That's not right. So I put the original accent in to keep the sound. Same thing because I added the low. Again, if you don't put the accent here, then it's going to be secatelo. That's not correct. So that was a real brief explanation, real brief review for informal affirmative commands. Stay tuned for the other squares using the subjunctive.